Prabhu, somehow, one second. Let's start with prayers. Om Jnanatimidandasya Jnananjana Salakya Chakshurinmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakadamahyam Dadati Savadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurum Shri Yudapadamala Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Rekhunathanitam Tham Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lilita Shri Vishakhanyatamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpade Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sudhe Devi Pranamami Haripriye Mancha Kalpatarubhyacha Kripa Sindhubhyacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. I don't see the here it is. So now we'll say prayers to the Bhagavatam. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Pudale Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Nidhi Namine Namaste Saraswate Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pachatideshaiti Tarine Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangam Langhide Girim Yakripa Tamahamande Sri Gurum Dinatarena Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Misharam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanacha Nandagopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namah Nama Pankajanabhaya Nama Pankajamalini Nama Pankajanetaya Namaste Pankajante. So today we are going to read from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 14, text number 58. Okay. So let me share screen. This is it. Okay. Samasritaye Padapallavaplavam Mahatpadam Punya Yasho Murare Bhavambudir Vatsapadam Param Padam 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 Yadvipadam Natesham. One more time. Samasritaye Padapallavaplavam Mahatpadam Punya Yasho Murare Avambhudir vatsa padam param padam. Padam padam yat vidhadam nadesham. So, synonyms. Samasrita, having taken shelter. Ye, those who, pada, of the feet. Pallava, like flower buds. Plavam, which are a boat. Mahat, of the total material creation, or of the great souls. Padam, the shelter. Punya, supremely pious. Yasha, whose fame. Murare, of the enemy of the demon Mura. Bhava, of the material existence. Ambudhi, the ocean. Vatsapadam, the footprint of a calf. Parampadam, the supreme abode. Vaikundha, Padam Padam, at every step. Gyat, where. Vipadam, of material miseries. Na, none. Tesham, for them. Translation and purport by Srimad Bhagavatam. For those who have accepted the boat of the lotus feet of the Lord, who is the shelter of the cosmic manifestation and is famous as Murari, the enemy of the Mura demon. The ocean of the material world is like the water contained in a calf's hoofprint. Their goal is Parampada, Vaikundha, the place where there are no material miseries, not the place where there is danger at every step. This translation is taken from Srila Prabhupada's commentary on the Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 2, text 51. According to Srila Sridhara Swami, this verse summarizes the knowledge presented in this section of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Lord Krishna's lotus feet are described as Pallava, flower buds, because they are most tender and of a pinkish hue. According to Srila Sanatana Goswami, the word Pallava also indicates that Lord Krishna's lotus feet are just like desire trees, which can fulfill all the desires of the Lord's pure devotees. Even exalted devotees like Sri Narada, who are themselves the great shelter for the conditioned souls in this universe, personally take shelter of the lotus feet of Lord Sri Krishna. Thus, it is natural that when Lord Krishna manifested himself as all the young boys and calves of Vrindavana, their parents were more attracted to them than previously. Lord Krishna is the reservoir of all pleasure, and being all attractive, the ultimate object of everyone's love. Here, the context is Lord Brahma is speaking after at the end of the Brahma Vimohana Leela, and that is Lord Brahma tried to test the power of this little boy, cowherd boy, playing with his boyfriends and enjoying the forest life like anything. He could not believe that this is the personality of Godhead, and so he decided to, do a prank. He stole the cows, the calves, and even the boyfriends of Krishna, and Krishna was left alone, wondering what happened to his calves and the cowherd boyfriends. So, but then Lord knows exactly what's going on. So he pretended nothing is happening. He created as many calves and as many of his friends, expanded himself into those very same likes of those friends and calves. And when Lord Brahma came out of the cave where he had hidden, the calves and the cowherd boys. He saw Krishna playing the same way with the same group of friends and calves and everything, and he was bewildered. He understood what Krishna is doing, and to make him understand more clearly, Krishna revealed the Vishnu Murtis forms of all those cowherd boyfriends. They were suddenly, it looked like all Narayana Murtis were playing with Krishna, Vishnu Murtis, and Lord Brahma got totally understood how he says how what am I, a small little creature compared to your glories. So Lord Brahma is completely humbled and asking forgiveness from the Lord and praising the Lord in so many verses, which are very instructive, because Lord Brahma is the first guru. He is the first created being, and so it is so powerful, these verses that describe, in which he is praising the Lord. And this verse especially, it says it is summarizing the knowledge presented in this section of Srimad Bhagavatam. So it is one of the favorite verses that I had thought of. So here we will see those who are so Krishna's lotus feet all through Bhagavatam, there is no scarcity. I mean, that's always the focus on the devotees' prayers. So we will find so many verses glorifying the lotus feet of Krishna, and in this world, which is padam padam yat vipadam, that is having taken birth in this world where nothing is certain. Lord Bhishma Deva says to Maharaj Yudhishthira, "O king, no one can know the plan of the Lord, Sri Krishna. Even though great philosophers inquire exhaustively, they are bewildered." So Yudhishthira Maharaj is inconsolable after the Kurukshetra war is over. Even Lord Krishna could not pacify him, because he is totally feeling responsible for the wholesale calamity, loss of lives that is brought about by the war. So Krishna instructs him to go talk to Bhishma Deva, who is lying on the bed of arrows created by Arjuna's arrows. And then Bhishma Deva is giving so many instructions to Yudhishthira Maharaj to prepare him for the future and to take up the responsibility that is lying on his on his threshold. So he's saying there is no telling what the plan of the Lord is. Even though great philosophers inquire exhaustively, they are bewildered. So in this world, we can see, we can only propose, but God disposes. We see so many things happen beyond our wildest imagination, day in and day out. We are aware of the three types of miseries, and Lord Krishna has said, Dukhalayam Ashashvatam. He has defined this material world as the house of miseries, place of miseries, and temporary. So, and we know the Adhyatmika kind of suffering, that is the suffering inflicted by our own body and mind. Go to any hospital, we can see there is no scarcity. The doctors there are always 24 hours on their feet, taking care of the intensive care, the emergency department. So, Adhyatmika and Adibhautika. Then Adibhautika, we hear yesterday was earthquake somewhere, and day before was flood somewhere, killing thousands. And wildfires and floods. We are seeing kind of very aggravated kind of recurrence of these calamities day after day. And on top of that, the early day before was September 11th. What is September 11th stand for? I can still remember me being at work and be hearing on the news what is happening in New York Towers. So Adi Bhautika kleshas are, too many to enumerate. And we are only 6 months into 2023, and we have had number of mass shootings in America. More than 365 times. Mass shooting. So many, life is so much precariously placed in this world of calamities. And then, so we know all these type of miseries are described in the Bhagavatam. And so what we have to do, the intelligent person has to do, is to take shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna. And then for him, this place of miseries is no more. His destination is Parampadam. Parampadam, that means the ultimate destination, Vaikunthas, where there is no more kundas, anxieties. So, and for him, the ocean of birth and death, samsara, sagara, that seems to shrink into the size of a puddle, created by the calf's footprint. Imagine that big ocean that we go and see, and we cannot even see the horizon. It is so vast and so full of waves and disturbances. And we cannot even think of going 10 feet into the waters. We'll be tossed by the waves and taken away. But that ocean shrinks into such a small puddle. That is the comparison created by we all are familiar with the village scenario where the calves and the cows walk around and their footprints are, in the rainy season, we can see water contained in those footprints. So for me, the prospect of enjoying in a cruise ship always is scary for me. I don't want to go, because what it is, we surrounded by water everywhere and no land to be seen. I am scared of the thought itself. So that fear, that such is the fear of our the ocean of birth and death, because we know from our inner being, consciousness, we've been through this birth and death process innumerable times. So this is the time, this is the opportunity to take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. So, and then so this is the meaning of this verse. And we have even Lord Brahma's in this verse, there is Lord Brahma's is saying in another verse. One in text 24-25, in this same chapter, Lord Brahma is speaking. Let me just go to 14 and 24-25. Let's go there. The lotus feet of the Lord. Those who have received the clear vision of knowledge from the sun-like spiritual master, can see you in this way as the very soul of all souls, the super soul of everyone's own self. Thus, understanding your original personality, they are able to cross over the ocean of illusory material existence. So, also in this, Krishna's lotus feet are compared to this pallava, that is flower buds, but they are also compared to a boat. And we have in Uttava Gita, Lord speaks of this boat. This human body also, is like a suitable boat to cross over the ocean of material existence. But then in that boat, who is the captain of that ship? He is the spiritual master. And the favorable winds are the instructions of the Lord, even in Bhagavad Gita and in so many other sources of Vedic knowledge we have. So this comparison of Krishna's lotus feet being the boat for crossing the ocean of material existence is very often quoted and described in Srimad Bhagavatam. So one has to take shelter of a pure devotee of the Lord. To take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord means to take shelter of a pure devotee of the Lord. So like we know Prahlad is the greatest devotee of the Lord. He received instructions from Narada Muni. Similarly, Dhruva Maharaj, he received instructions from Narada Muni. And it is said elsewhere in Bhagavatam, unless one bathes his head in the dust of the dust from the lotus feet of a pure devotee of the Lord, we cannot make progress in the spiritual path. That is back to the journey back home, back to Godhead. So same thing, Lord Brahma is saying, the conception of a person who mistakes a rope for a snake becomes fearful, and he then gives up his fear upon realizing that the so-called snake does not exist. Similarly, for those who fail to recognize you as the supreme soul of all souls, the expansive illusory material existence arises, but knowledge of you at once causes it to subside. So it is knowledge of the Lord that removes the ignorance in our hearts. That is, we become subject to the illusory energy of the Lord because of our ignorance, thinking that I am this body, I am the Lord of all that I survey, and this world is, and my body and my senses are for me to enjoy, to have a good time here. So that is the illusory energy of the Lord misleading this human soul. So in order for that to be overcome, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Devi Yasha Gunamayi Mama Maya Duratyaya Mam Eva Ye Prabhatyante Mayam Edam Tarantite. So only by surrender to me, surrendering to me, one can overcome that illusory energy of the Lord. So here also it's the same thing. And surrender means surrender at the lotus feet of the Lord, Surrender means taking shelter of a pure devotee of the Lord. And surrender means, every moment to moment, we can chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Because Lord Chaitanya has come to teach us the process for this age of Kali. He is comparing this material existence like a bhava, Chedodarpana Marjanam Bhava Mahadavakni. It's a blazing fire of material existence. And then, but Pratipadam Purnamrita Aswadana. That is every moment we have to just say Krishna to be able to enjoy the personal association of the Lord, because the name of Krishna and the person of Krishna are non-different. So that is the teachings. And we have another verse from Mukunda Mala Stotra. One second, I lost my previous the royal swan of my mind. So King Kulashekara Perumal is that is here. Swan of my friend. This one here. So here King Kulashekara is saying, Krishna Tvadiya Pada Pankaja Pancharandam Adyaiva me Vishado Manasa Rajahamsa Visatu Manasa Rajahamsa Prana Prayana Samaye Kapavada Pittam Kandhavarodhana Vithau Smaranam Kutaste. That is, oh Lord Krishna, at this moment, let the royal swan of my mind enter the tangled stems of the lotus of your feet. How will it be possible for me to remember you at the time of death, when my throat will be choked up with mucus, bile, and air? So this is the a teaching of Kulashekara Perumal. That is, when our health and our mind are, working properly, then we must utilize every moment to surrender, in the process of surrender, Sharanagati, taking shelter. And Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur also says, Bhajahure Sri Nanda Nandana. That is Abhaya Charana. That is a place where there is no one becomes fearless by taking shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna. That is the way to sort of become completely fearless in this very dark region of nescience that we are in. And then I had some other references here. That is, we go to chapter 424. That is 1 second. Immediately 424. 24. Lord Shiva is teaching this prayer that to the sons of King Pracheta, Prachina Barishmat. So the Prachetas. And so he says, to verse number 29. And so he is describing the beauty of Lord Krishna, Lord Vishnu, and in so many verses. And he says, he is Sarva Saundarya Sangraha. That is the sum total of all beauty that we can imagine, Lord Vishnu's personality. And then he is describing the lotus feet. And text 29. A person who executes his occupational duty properly No, sorry, I'm sorry, 29. That is some not actually. 1 second, it has to come down. You are the supreme. 1 second, please give me. Yeah, my dear Lord, that is text 52. Your two lotus feet are so beautiful that they appear like two blossoming petals of the lotus flower, which grows during the autumn season. Indeed, the nails of your lotus feet emanate such a great effulgence that they immediately dissipate all the darkness in the heart of a conditioned soul. My dear Lord, kindly show me that form of yours, which always dissipates all kinds of darkness in the heart of a devotee. My dear Lord, you are the supreme spiritual master of everyone. Therefore, all conditioned souls covered with the darkness of ignorance can be enlightened by you as the spiritual master. Then, text 53. My dear Lord, those who desire to purify their existence must always engage in meditation upon your lotus feet, as described above. Those who are serious about executing their occupational duties and who want freedom from fear must take to this process of bhakti yoga. So, who else? The most exalted personalities, Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, is instructing that the only safe place is the lotus feet of Krishna in this material world. I mean, that can transport us to the ultimate destination, the place of eternal happiness and bliss. And we can just meditate on the one that is Lord Krishna doesn't know how is it that everybody is singing so many praises about my feet. So he's tasting his little toes, lotus, that is in this verse. Kararavindena padaravindam mukharavinde vinivesayantam vadasya patrasya pudeshayanam balam mukundam manasa smarami. That is, with his lotus hand, he is bringing his lotus foot to his lotus mouth and he is sucking on the toes. He is himself wanting to experience the sweetness of his lotus feet. And he is lying on that banyan leaf in the causal waters of in the water of devastation. Little Krishna, Balamukunda, is lying on that banyan leaf, and there is nothing else. Only he is there after the devastation. So it's a very beautiful picture, and that we have to think of. So there is no end to how much we can talk about how this human form of life is so precious, and it is so tentative, our lifespan. We know nothing about tomorrow or the next moment. Kamala Jala Dala, that is, it is tottering. The time, lifespan is tottering like the water drop on a lotus leaf. So Srila Prabhupada has referred that this same verse in describing Bhajagure Sri Nandanandana. I will stop here. Sorry, I went over 5 minutes. Please, any questions or comments? Please forgive me for my whatever mistakes I have said. And thank you all for very patiently hearing. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna, Mathaji. Please
Hare Krishna,
please.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to Guru Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada.
Please accept my humble obeisances to all glories to Guru Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada.
your class as always. I mean, it's coming from the heart, and your simplicity just shines right through. There's never anything superficial about what you say, and it's so genuine. So, I consider myself very fortunate to have your association, and it's so nice always to hear from you because it's coming from the heart. It's not academic, it's not superficial, in spite of all the other worldly qualifications you have. This is probably, this is, a spiritual qualification that you have. It's a quality that you have that is so, so, so inspiring. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you, Prabhu. It's all your association of all your devotees, give me a little strength to go in this direction, research and speak a little. I'm not good at speaking, but still.
No, but you covered such beautiful perspectives and references which bring it all together. Yes, we've heard this in many, many discussions, conversations, and discourses and lectures. But you brought it together, and as it actually at a time like this, whenever there's so much chaos around us, there's so much uncertainty, there's so much anxiety.
Yes.
This really resonated extremely well with me, especially today. You're absolutely right about how the irony is, on the one hand, we fail to see the big picture, and in terms of taking the shelter of the Lord, right? And on the other hand, we look at the bigness, if there is a term called bigness within quote, in terms of the ocean of despair in this material world.
Yes.
And we are just like ants, maybe even smaller than ants. And we take it upon ourselves. That's all. We get overwhelmed, and we get so caught up in what there is around us, as opposed to looking at the big picture, the real big picture. We get caught up in this, this huge, the magnitude of this material world, and we think that's it. And we're constantly dwelling, and we're constantly trying to swim and drowning in this ocean, right? And so that anxiety level goes up. We fail to forget, even though it's very clear, every page when the Bhagavatam says, hey, just surrender to Krishna. Yeah. But we fail to remember that, recognize that, and do something about it. So, what you brought together today, even the Mukunda Mala Stotra that such a beautiful verse that is.
Yes.
It constantly reminds us, especially for a few of us who are, slowly getting into that twilight stage of our lives.
Yes, really, it's really only this.
So important.
Yes.
So thank you for bringing that all together, so beautifully brought together. I really thank you for sharing those wonderful thoughts with us, and beautiful words that you've chosen, Mathaji. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, to become fearless in this environment in which we live, in this world, it is not at all possible unless we have this teachings of Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita with us. And that is the only means by which we can survive these challenges of material existence and teach our children also the same thing. Yes. Otherwise, it's so consuming, the fears, the anxieties, daily life.
Absolutely, Mataji. Thank you again.
Hare Krishna. Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna.
Thank you so much. So we can close Prabhu, Lakshmikant Prabhu, and thank you all again.
Thank you, Mataji. Such a nice sweet class. I mean, the verses, Mukunda Bala Sotra and verses that you mentioned, they're very nice. So, I mean, as Srivalda Prabhu said, the sweetness of the Lord, I mean, the way he explained is very nice, the all attractive nature of the Lord. So, how he is the all beautiful, all. It was very nice too.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Vancha kalpatarubhyacha kripa sindhubhya patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namo. The Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna.
Mm.